When a hearing goes off the rails this fast, you know something bigger is going on. What started as a grilling over China suddenly exploded into accusations of hiding pedophiles. This wasn't oversight. This was political theater at its wildest, and its most revealing.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. I want to first talk about the significant role that the FBI plays in combating the national security threats posed by our nation's greatest threat, our nation's greatest security threat, China and the Chinese Communist Party. It's a fact that China is America's most significant national security threat, isn't that correct?
I would say so, sir.
And you would agree with me that China wants to dominate the United States of America?
I think that's largely their plan.
And they want to dominate the world, both militarily and economically, isn't that correct?
I think so.
And sir, you've been FBI director for the last, 8 months?
7 months, yes.
7 months, and during that time, have you held any stock in any companies founded in China?
I don't believe so.
Well, you do own stock in a company known as Elite Depot, don't you?
Which one, sorry?
Elite Depot. You own stock.
I think that's, I'll have to get back to you. I think it's a law firm and it's a company out of Singapore.
Okay, well, no, the company out of Singapore, which is owned by Elite Depot, is the Shein Company, which was founded in China, correct?
That company operates out of Taiwan.
Well, they changed their headquarters from China back in 2022 to Singapore for tax purposes, but it's owned by a Chinese billionaire. I think his name is Charlie Zhu, and you own stock in the company that owns Shein.
Which I disclosed during my confirmation process.
You certainly did. And now, do you still hold that stock in that Chinese company?
Pursuant to the Department of Justice, who reviewed my material that was submitted during my confirmation process, I was able to hold certain stocks, and they made the decision.
You still hold the stocks that you have? You still hold on to these Chinese stocks, these stocks in this Chinese company?
I disagree that it's a Chinese company, but I was in the DOJ, when you're appointed, makes a call on what you can and can't possess.
Well, now, let me ask you this. Chinese companies steal trademarks, they produce counterfeit products and sell them over the internet on platforms such as Shein. They steal intellectual property. They steal data from American companies. And to me, it seems inconsistent with your role as FBI director that you would own stock in a company that is based in a country that is the nation's premier national security threat. It's like you are putting your own financial security over the security of the nation.
I disagree with that characterization.
Well, I think the American people look at it like it's a classic situation of the fox guarding the hen house. If the FBI is charged with investigating espionage, economic espionage by companies controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and you are the director of the FBI, you've got a conflict of interest.
Sir, I would just show if there's any intimation that I'm against.
Why are you holding on to this stock?
It wasn't a decision I made.
And it's valued at up to $5 million as of when you last reported, correct? $5 million in stock?
No, I don't follow it.
You don't follow it, but you're still making money off of it.
I don't have any money off of anything.
Well,
what I have done...
Trump's trade policies directly impact the value of that Chinese stock. Won't you agree with that?
Which trade policy? I'm not a trade expert.
Okay, all right.
But I want to tell you this.
Crazy on me today. Let me ask you this question. Why are you hiding pedophiles? Why are you shielding pedophiles? Why are you protecting pedophiles?
That is maybe the most offensive thing you could say to me, given the numbers.
Well, you have not released
Given the
Epstein
numbers
files.
of pedophiles.
You are aware of the
we have
Epstein
arrested-
client list that was published in the 18,000
The gentleman has
emails released.
expired. The gentleman yields
Can I just-
back.
Can he answer the
Can
question?
I just respond?
Of course, the gentleman can answer the question.
Since I took over the FBI, there has been a 33% increase.
Sir, all of that
Encounter-
started under Christopher
Your
Wray.
time is done, but
No,
the-
it didn't.
The witness gets to
All of
answer
that
the
started
question,
under
and
the
then we'll go to our
previous,
next.
33.
FBI director, sir, and you're coming in here trying to take credit for something that a previous director
Gentlemen,
instituted and largely brought to conclusion.
I take
I
no
think it's
credit.
been clear that
offensive.
the director
It's offensive.
has numbers are so
incorrect
much
also.
better than the previous director.
It's
Dr. Patel, if you want to
I take-
answer the question.
I take no credit. The men and women of the FBI have seen a 33% increase in the number of counterintelligence arrests out of the PRC.
So all of a sudden, with
And
you
the-
coming in 7 months ago,
and,
Gentlemen's time has
Heaven on earth.
expired.
and on
sir,
the pedophile
American public not gonna
accusation,
go for that.
we have arrested 1,500 child predators in the last 7 months.
Under
That's more
investigations
than
initiated by
anybody
the prior
Appreciate the
directorship.
director's good work, and we really appreciate that the time of the gentleman has expired. We now
This exchange between Rep. Johnson and Director Patel is a masterclass in how political hearings twist from policy to spectacle, and in how accusations can become weapons, not tools for truth. Johnson begins with a predictable, almost scripted framework: China is the top national security threat. That framing shows up in nearly every modern congressional hearing involving national security. But the second he pivots to stock ownership, we see where he really wants to go, painting Patel as compromised. The problem? The logic doesn't hold. Patel discloses his stocks during his confirmation, which means there was no secret, no scandal, no concealment. The DOJ Ethics Office approved them. That's critical context Johnson doesn't want the public to hear, because it disrupts the storyline he's trying to build, that Patel is personally financially aligned with America's adversaries. Now here's the deeper point viewers need to understand. Accusations of conflict of interest inside Congress have become political currency. They don't have to be proven, they just have to sound scandalous. Patel owning approved shares in a Singapore-based parent company is dramatically inflated into FBI director secretly profiting from China. That's not oversight, it's narrative construction. And then the moment the argument begins to wobble under scrutiny, Johnson detonates the nuclear option. He suddenly accuses Patel of protecting pedophiles. This is the new political tactic in 2024-2025. When a representative wants to trigger outrage, bypass debate, or derail nuance, they reach for accusations tied to child exploitation. It's weaponized morality, a charge so emotionally loaded that the target is forced onto defense even when the numbers contradict the claim. Patel's reaction shows just how devastating that accusation is. He calls it the most offensive thing you could say. And he's right, because these cases are some of the FBI's most active and dangerous operations. He even cites thousands of child predator arrests, but Johnson immediately dismisses it, claiming all progress belongs to the previous director. This reveals something crucial. Johnson wasn't asking questions to get answers. He was asking questions to attack. This wasn't about national security, this wasn't about China, this was about generating a viral clip. And when hearings turn into political performances, what gets lost is actual accountability. We learn nothing about how the FBI handles China-based espionage cases. We learn nothing about how DOJ ethics decisions work. We learn nothing about what policies are needed to protect U.S. interests. Instead, we get a televised shouting match that leaves the public more confused than informed, which ironically is exactly the environment where conspiracy theories thrive. Congress should be a place for oversight. Instead, too often, it's becoming a stage. And hearings like this show us why the noise keeps drowning out the truth. Like, share, and subscribe to Left Lens for commentary that cuts through the chaos.